Okay,
I did it last night again. I just got this right.
okay. The place of the interview is Veterans Hospital in Riviera Beach, and today's date is March 31st, 2011, and the person being interviewed is Joy Teter. And Joy, when is your birthday?
May 5th,
What year?
1941,
And your current address?
11671 Southeast Doherty Street, Jupiter, Florida, 33469 1617.
Okay, and we're in the library at the VA, but you and I are the only ones that are actually attending the interview. Okay, my affiliation is, my name is Carlton Cartwright, and I'm with the Children's Coalition Incorporated, and I'm the founder and executive director. Okay. Did you serve in any wars, and what branch of service were you in?
I was in the Navy,
And what years did you serve?
1959 and 1961.
Okay. Did you serve in any wars?
No,
Okay. What was your rank?
I was E4 or an HM3.
Okay. Where did you serve?
Do you want the different bases, or like
Well-
I went to boot camp in Bainbridge, Maryland, went to Corps School in Great Lakes, Illinois, and I was stationed in the Marine Corps base in Camp Pendleton, California at the Naval Hospital there.
Okay. How long was basic training? Where were you now?
Bainbridge, Maryland,
And how long was it?
from August to October,
What
from
year?
the heat of summer to the cold of fall,
And what year was that?
1959.
Why did you join?
Why did I join? When I was a senior in high school in California, this was my third high school because my dad moved around. So I was too late to sign up for nursing school. And when I was a senior in high school, we had nurses club there. And it was an Army nurse that was our instructor, and she took us to the Treasure Island Hospital there. And she sort of hinted around that would be a good way to get my education is through the military. And I joined the Navy because I thought the guys had cool uniforms.
Okay. It's a good reason. Where were you living before what were you doing and where were you living before you joined the Navy?
In San Mateo, California.
Okay. What were you doing?
I was a senior in high school and graduated.
Okay. All right.
So I was 17 when I graduated and barely 18 when I enlisted.
Okay. Do you recall your first days in the service?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about it. How did you get through it?
Huh?
How did you get through it?
Number one, it was very regimented, which was good for me. And I was going to tell you about stenciling. You had to stencil everything with your name.
Right.
So stenciling the name Hendershot on underwear was quite a challenge.
No comment.
But it was good. They gave you offices like I was a third-class petty officer in boot camp. So I was in charge of field days,
Okay.
where I was in charge. They called me the rag lady because I carried the bucket around and gave everybody their cleaning supplies to clean. But I was surprised about boot camp because there were so many girls there that didn't know how to do laundry, didn't know how to iron, didn't know much about personal hygiene either.
Okay.
And so I'm still a firm believer that everybody from the time they get out of high school until they decide what they're going to do for the next 3 months should go to boot camp.
I agree. So what did it feel like? Tell me about your training experiences. Do you remember your instructors?
I remember I had an overweight gym instructor. I remember there was no air conditioning, so we died, and you kept falling asleep. I remember that they had a smoking lamp, but I didn't take up smoking because of that. But we used to catch like 20 winks while everybody went out to smoke, the ones that didn't. We had competitions. We were a sister company, so we were competing all the time. But it was great camaraderie. That's what I really liked about boot camp. I don't remember too many of the girls' names, but I wish I could have kept in contact with them. But when you went to school, everybody went their separate ways, so that was the last contact I had.
Okay. Where exactly did you go? Did you, first of all, you weren't in any war engagements at all? Okay.
No.
Okay. Where
Well, I knew I wanted to be a nurse, so the only thing open was corps school. So I put in for that, and that ran from October until February. And then I think I was 6th in the class. So I got pretty much my choice, and because my parents still lived in California, I put in for a base in California, which happened to be Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
Right after I got stationed there, they moved to Florida.
Okay.
But what else do you need to know? I love corps school. That was fun.
Okay. Chorus school?
Corps.
Core. What is
Hospital corps school.
that? Oh, okay. So you became a nurse?
No, you're like an equivalent to an LPN.
Oh, all right. And
So we did everything. We did everything when we came out of there that a nurse did except give narcotics. That's the only reason I ever saw a nurse when I got stationed at Camp Pendleton.
right.
Is when we needed to have them come in.
Okay. All right. We're good. I just want to make sure of my background.
Oh, just as me.
I just want to make sure that, yes, okay. Good, finally it moved. All right, how many different bases did you serve on?
Just Camp Pendleton.
Okay, and where is that again? In California?
Yeah, it's Oceanside, California,
So
just
what-
north of San Diego.
Right, what moved to Florida?
Well, while I was in Camp Pendleton, I married a jarhead because there were 2,000 guys to every woman.
Okay,
He's rolling his eyes. And I met one. And back then in the military, if or when you got married and you got pregnant, they wouldn't let you stay in.
okay,
And at the time I was working in the x-ray department and they didn't want me in there anyway, although they would have kept me on as long as they could have.
right,
But I ended up having 3 sons at the military base at Camp Pendleton. And then my husband got very sick because of he had a disease called Raynaud's disease. And the cold weather bothered him a lot. In California, it does get cold. So my parents lived in Florida, and I said, well, let's try to move to Florida because he loved to fish, and that's how I ended up in Florida.
okay. Were you still in the military?
No, I was in civil service. He was in civil service.
Okay.
I was in civil service for probably a year and a half until I had my second child. And I worked in OBGYN there.
Okay. All right, well, do you remember arriving at your first base?
At Camp Pendleton?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was it like? What was your job assignment, and how did that go?
When you mustered in, one of the guys I mustered in called me hinder shit and apologized. And I was the new cop on the base, so I got stuck with all the emergency room calls that had a woman involved. And that was very interesting because you were on what they called port and starboard duty, which was like 72 hours on and 12 hours off. It was some weird. So if I wasn't working on a ward, I was on a call for emergencies. And every time a woman was involved, a female had to be there to
Right.
cover the doctor. So I never saw so many different nationalities and different diseases that could happen to a certain age group. It was just awesome experience, especially the women's medical when I got into that. And my first patient that passed away had they didn't know what was wrong with her until the autopsy, but it bothered me because she was the same age as my mom. And she died of Parrott's disease. She's raising parakeets and got a disease, and they didn't find out until they did an autopsy on her what it was. But from there, I went to pediatrics, which was my absolute favorite thing in the military that I did. I mean, we saved kids' lives in that wing. And like I said, none of this was air conditioned back then. It was Quonset huts and wooden buildings off the ground. Now it's I guess they got a big hospital there
Right.
now. But
Okay. What did you mean when you, I think you were, it was, what did you mean by the term you were the cop, the first
the
cop?
new cop, you know how your new cop on the beat, they give you
Oh,
the grunt work.
there you go. I'm sure there was plenty of that. Okay. Well, since you were in nursing, even though you didn't see any combat, were there many casualties where you worked? You know,
In California, a lot of fog, a lot of traffic accidents. I saw a lot of people go through windshields. I had to pick glass out of people's heads. But one thing before I did get discharged is we were getting wings ready for the Vietnam casualties to come back home because we expected a lot of them, but they hadn't come in yet. It was just like the beginning of the war.
Okay. So you weren't a prisoner of war or anything
No,
like that?
no,
Okay. Were you awarded any medals or citations?
no.
Okay. All right, okay.
Didn't
Were
stay in long enough to get a, what do you call it, a good conduct medal.
Okay.
I probably would have flunked that too. I was a cut up, I'll tell you
Were
that.
you really?
Yeah, my patients loved me.
All right, okay.
Oh, I also got a compliment on the best back rubs.
All right, there you go. Were you ever involved in any battle planning?
No.
No, okay. We're gonna move into segment 4, I guess, yeah. Okay, how did you stay in touch with your family?
Once in a while I wrote.
Where were they living?
Florida.
Ah, is that where you were born?
No, I was
Well-
born in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay,
And I grew up in Ohio, right
Oh.
on Lake Erie.
all right.
But then we moved to Florida because Dad was in construction and couldn't work during the winter, so we moved to Florida thinking it would be better, but the economy was terrible back then. So his friend said, let's move to California. So I hated California.
Did you?
I mean, I lived there, well, from the time I got, let's see, in the service, 1960s to 69. But I didn't care for it. I love Florida, so. I love Long Island, Bahamas too.
Okay. Anyway,
You cut this too, don't you?
no, not really. No. No, they want us to go straight through. Now, what was it that you said about staying in touch with your family? Your family was here or in Ohio?
Yeah, they were in Florida. My brother graduated in Stewart. My sister's 16 years younger, so she was born and raised in Florida. And
Right.
she joined the Air Force. My brother joined the Army.
Mhm.
And my sister retired from the Air Force.
Oh, okay. So, what about your parents?
Well, they're both deceased now.
What I mean then.
They're both, Dad was still in construction.
Okay. So
But,
did you?
but we weren't a close family,
Oh, okay.
so, you know, it's,
So everybody was all over the place.
yeah, most of my relatives are still in Ohio, and I haven't seen them since '59, so.
Okay.
Some of cousins are still alive, but,
Right.
close family. Now,
Oh.
my brother and sister and I keep in pretty good contact.
Okay. Still,
hmm
to this day. Okay. What was the food like?
When I went into the military, I had a nice figure.
Okay.
When I went to boot camp, it was like somebody opened a smorgasbord. you had 20 minutes to eat, and food I never ate before that I loved. And when I was in boot camp, my chief said I looked like a sausage with a string tied around my waist. That's how much weight I gained. I had to have everything tailored again. So when I went into to course school, I lost some of that, but I never got over the worst habit I learned in the Navy was eating too fast. And that's still, I have to watch myself to this day that I don't shovel it down just as fast as I can.
Right.
But the food was great.
Oh, okay.
Now they have salad bars, which is great. My son is a chief in the Coast Guard. And I went, and my other son went into the Navy, but he didn't stay. But that's where I said, oh, yeah, they give you a salad bar now. That would have been heaven to me back then. Bacon and eggs? Oh, my Lord.
Like bacon and eggs, huh?
Well, you know what I had? I had coffee and toast before I went to school. That was it.
Right.
No lunch. Ate a decent supper. That was it. Plus, you're constantly going when you're school. So.
Right. Did you have plenty of supplies while you were in the service?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, have everything you needed?
Yeah. Same with when I was in the medical field. We never were short of anything. I always thought that patients got the best care that we could give. Back then, when I worked in the X-ray department, we didn't have chemotherapy and stuff. We treated cancer with radiation. Very painful for the patients, but that was my job with the female patients, is setting up the cobalt or whatever the machine was called. Burned the hell out of them.
Okay. Did you feel pressure or stress?
I had a few bad experiences in the military.
Okay.
I don't really want to talk to you about them,
Okay.
but I am seeing somebody hear about them, so that's helping me.
Was there pressure and stress in your job besides these other instances?
No, you were constantly, to do your best. You had inspections, and as far as work performance, like I said, it was the weirdest thing because you might have a supervisor but you never saw him. I mean, if you were doing your job and doing your nursing notes and stuff like that, they really didn't have much to do with you.
Right.
So it was up to the patients. If they didn't have, if they complained, then we heard about it, but I never had any complaints against me.
Okay. Was there anything special that you did for good luck?
For good luck?
Yeah.
No. What I'm sorry about is I love the game of golf.
Okay.
And right across from the nurses' station was a par 3. And back then I didn't know beans about golf. And it would have been great to play that par 3 every day.
Sort of missed that, huh?
Yeah. But actually I was sort of a loner in the military. I had very few friends. And like I said, most of it was work related. They had a pool. I'll tell you, I volunteered for night duty a lot of times because of the weather. It was so hot, it was worth it to work at night.
Right.
Sleep with the fan on you all day.
Okay. How did people entertain themselves?
In the military?
Yeah,
Went out
well,
drinking. The silly boy. One thing about California, a woman could be 18, a guy had to be 21. So, some of us girls would go to an NCO club and dance and drink beer. Party on.
Right.
Right next to the beach, too. We weren't far from the beach. We'd go to the beach once in a while, but that was either a bus drive or somebody knew bought my first car in the Navy. My parents would never take me to go get a license. This is how I bought a car. I got insurance for the car. I bought the car, took the car, got my license. That's how I got a car.
A little backwards.
1954 Chevy Bel Air.
Oh, all Were there ever any entertainers that visited your base?
Nope.
Okay. What did you do when you were on leave?
Let's see, I went on leave once for Christmas. Not very long. Let's see, I got stationed there in February, so it must have been the Christmas after that. Wait a minute. No, I was in corps school when I went. I was in corps school in Chicago. I flew out of Chicago and went to California. That was so weird because it's like you matured 5 years or so. And we had to wear a uniform everywhere, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to visit my high school friends, it was like we had nothing in common anymore. It was really something. And, you know, my sister was still a baby then. And I'm trying to think of, I don't think I went on leave again. I think I built up the leave and got paid when I got out. But I went to visit family after that. My parents didn't see my kids until they were, all three were born.
Okay.
That's how close we were.
Until, oh, okay, gotcha. So not until
It was
all three
closer
of
to
them,
my in-laws than it was to my own folks. But
immediate family.
yeah, they were from Virginia, so they were like down-home people. They made me feel right at home.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Where did you travel while you were in the service? Did you ever go overseas or anything while you were on leave?
No, I
or-
wanted to put in for MSTS duty, which is military transport, which, you know, when you have civilian wives go with their husbands over to Okinawa or Japan or something, they needed core waves on the ship, always to protect the doctor.
Core
and-
waves? You
Yeah,
were a
that was a
wave.
core wave.
Okay, right.
And I really wanted to put in for that, but then I got married, and that was the end of that anyway. But, boy, I really wanted that. I had a really wonderful captain that was my boss when I was in the X-ray department. And he was trying to finagle a lot of stuff for me, like getting me into school. You had to be stationed 1 year to anywhere. After you got out of school, you had to be stationed 1 year anywhere
Mm-hmm.
before you could put in for anything else.
Right. Okay.
I might tell you this too, it was funny. When I got out of the military and I had my first son, we were very poor. I had to babysit for food. That's how poor we were. I mean, he was an E4 sergeant and he got demoted. He was the staff sergeant, got demoted for getting in a fight. And so I put in for a job in the X-ray department at a civilian hospital.
Right.
And I said, well, how much are you going to start me out at? And he said, $1.25 an hour. I worked there. I saw blood and guts. I said, oh, my God. I learned what it was for people, especially immigrants.
Uh-huh.
You got to stop again.
No, I'm all right. Here, just, Jesus.
For immigrants to come in and not have insurance.
Right.
It was sad.
You can,
What do you want me to
no,
do?
no, just keep looking at me. Just
Okay.
keep looking right at me. Good, I fix it. There we go. Okay, we're all right. All right, so now,
Let's see,
You-
where did I travel?
yeah.
Travel to Yosemite National Park.
oh, you did?
To, when it was hot and the Santa Anas would come in, we'd go up to the mountains there, San Bernardino Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Mount Palomar was up there. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's an observatory up there.
I was stationed 20 miles south of San Bernardino, but this is about you, not me.
Oh,
We'll talk about that later.
that's the first time a kid saw snow.
Okay. Okay, do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events?
Not off the top of my head.
If you do, let me know.
It's like I said, I was sort of a loner, so didn't really. I remember drinking a few pitchers of beer. That was humorous. And singing with the Mexicans down in Southern California.
Okay. Well, that was fun. Do you recall any? Okay, what were some of the pranks that you or others would pull on other people? Any of that stuff went on?
No.
Okay.
Boot camp. We did something when we knew we were going on leave to D.C. My girlfriend and I would got up like at 3 o'clock in the morning to take a shower and pretty ourselves up. We got caught, so we had to go buff the drill hall with Kotex fans. But we still had fun in D.C.
Okay.
Crazy things.
Right. Okay. All right. Did you hold on to any photographs from the military?
Oh yeah,
Okay. Well, maybe we'll try to get some of them.
yeah,
We'll see. You remember the people in the photographs?
yeah.
Okay. All right. What did you think of officers or fellow soldiers?
My fellow,
Mm-hmm.
everybody I was stationed with was great.
Okay.
I had a few, can I say a-holes,
You said it.
that were like in charge of the barracks, and that was their thing, you know.
Right.
And they thought they were big cheese, and that was their only job. And my son that went in the Coast Guard, he had trouble with one of his commanding officers, and I said, you know, Rob, said, if you got out of the service, you're going to run into him and out the outside. I said, the best thing to do is to go in and sit down and talk to him. And that's what he did.
Right.
And from then on, it was okay. But what you do when you don't get along with somebody, you stay away from them. So that's how I solved that problem. But
Right.
so if you dropped your key down there and you had to ring the bell and they had to come and let you in, oh my God, you never heard the end of it.
Okay.
What are you doing out at 3 o'clock in the morning? You know, did I leave home or what?
Exactly. Did you keep a personal diary?
No, not since my mom discovered one when I was 17.
At the end
Don't
of
do that
At
anymore.
the end of that, okay. I got you. Okay. So what was it like towards the end? You recall the day that your service ended?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tell me about it.
St. Patrick's Day was when I was discharged.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
March 17th, huh?
Mhm.
What year was that?
1961.
Okay.
I don't know. I think the only thing I kept, I wish I'd have kept my uniform, but I didn't. They had a big box there that you kept all of. My God, I had, remember the heavy pea coat like thing. We didn't need hardly any of that in California, but when we were in Maryland, we needed it. But I think the only thing I kept was my emblem on my hat. Back then, the military uniform for a woman was a seersucker, gray striped seersucker thing.
Nice.
To make sharp wave, you had to starch and iron the seersucker out
Mhm.
of the uniform,
Okay.
which was quite, you know, that was back in boot camp.
Quite a chore.
So this last year I went over to Clearwater, and they had a museum there.
Right.
And I walked in the museum, the first thing I saw was a seersucker uniform on a dummy. I said, oh my God, does that thing bring back memories? Right after I got out of the military, they went to the blue, the light blue,
Uh-huh.
that I think they still have to this day.
Okay.
But oh, that seersucker was so ugly. In dress uniform, the only time I wore the white dress uniform was graduation day.
Uh-huh. That was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you do in days and weeks afterwards?
Went out and bought a sewing machine, started sewing a layette for the baby.
Okay. A what?
For the baby.
A layette.
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 You don't know what a layette
Come on,
is?
I've heard, it's been
Like
years.
receiving blankets and
Okay.
pajamas and diapers. Back then they didn't have disposable diapers.
And that was for the third son?
No, that was the first one.
Oh,
Yeah, like I said, when you
Right.
got married and
That's right, that
got
was
pregnant, so I was like 3 months pregnant when I got out.
so how long were you on active duty?
Almost 2 years.
Okay. What was your original contract for?
3.
Okay. All right, gotcha. All right. So when you got out, were you working or were you going to school or you were
No,
just
I didn't.
making
I didn't have to go
homemaker?
back to work until my son was a year old.
Mhm.
Then I had to go back.
And what did you do when you went back? And
Went
where
to
did you
work
do
at
it?
the civilian hospital
In
at
Florida? Or-
in Oceanside, California.
Oh.
No, I lived in California until '69,
Oh, okay, okay.
and I worked there. I didn't work there very long because I took the civil service test, and they called me, and that's when I got a job with civil service.
Okay.
And I worked there. Let's see. TJ was born in 61,
Mhm.
62. I think I worked the civil service like 3 or 4 years
Okay.
till my second son, till I was pregnant with my second son.
All right, and you said that was in Oceanside?
Yep, that was at still at Camp Pendleton.
Oh, you're still on the military base?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Okay. How long were you there?
In civil service,
Well, how long, the first one was what? Before civil service? Were you working before civil service?
yeah, at the hospital in Oceanside, California.
Was that
That was
public?
only a few months.
That,
There's a lot of difference between $1.25 and whatever I was getting in civil service.
so was the first job that you had, was that private or was it military?
No, it was
Public?
private,
Okay.
private hospital, yeah.
All right, and that was for a short period of time. So, and you were at Oceanside until 69?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, gotcha. And how was that? You know, how many years, you got out in 61?
Mm-hmm.
So you were there for 8 years, 9 years?
Mm-hmm.
And how was that experience?
It was good.
Mhm.
We bought a house. Let's see. I had 2 kids. No, I was pregnant with my second child. We bought a house and watched it being built. And then my husband, well, he had orders to go to Vietnam in 61. 61. TJ was born in 61. I got to get my 62. He was scheduled to go to Vietnam. And he was going in the hospital for a deviated septum. And I said, you better tell him what else is wrong with you. Because he went to paratrooper school in Georgia in the winter. And that's when he came down with all of these circulation, and he wouldn't stop smoking. So that's how we ended up, he was in civils. He got discharged from the military medically. And to hear him tell, he cried when he got orders to Vietnam because he didn't want to go, but then he cried because he got discharged and he couldn't be a jarhead anymore.
Right.
So and he went into civil service. So we did financially, we did all right after that. I didn't have to, that was where I was lucky. I didn't have to go back to work until we moved here.
Right.
So I got to be with the kids for their informative years.
Good. Okay, college, did you use the GI Bill?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I took real estate law through the GI Bill. I didn't use the GI Bill, but I went back to college. I got an associate's degree in accounting because I switched my careers completely.
Okay,
Then went into bookkeeping and accounting.
okay.
That's where the money is.
In bookkeeping and accounting?
But I did work for a doctor for about 3 years when we first moved here.
Uh-huh.
I was a butt doctor nurse.
You were what?
That's what my kids call me, a butt doctor's nurse.
Is there a professional name?
Proctologist.
Thank you. Anyway, moving right along.
I know you spliced this up, yeah.
No, I'm not. This is good material. Okay, so you used your GI Bill. Real estate school, when did you do that?
Oh, gosh.
What part of the journey?
Let's see. Oh, it was down here. So it had to be when the kids were older,
Okay,
say in the early 70s.
right, okay, all right.
And then after I took that,
Did you get your license?
I went and took a course at the college here, the junior college. And I thought I was going to go in for that, and I ended up not doing it.
But the GI Bill paid for all of it?
Yeah, I paid for the courses I took.
Okay,
The junior college course wasn't that much.
right. Okay, did you make any close friends while you were in the service?
I made close friends while I was in the military, but
Did you continue the relationship?
no, unfortunately, Judy went AWOL and the other gal disappeared. So. But there's some people I wish I kept. Like there was a girl from California that was, she and I were real tan before we went in.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to get teased about that. I wish I'd have kept up with her and seen where she ended up. She ended up, I know, getting stationed in Washington, D.C.
Right, right. Did you join a veterans organization?
Yes, I belong to the VA, belong to American Legion Post 271 in Jupiter, Florida. I belong to the Women's Honor Society, Echelon 30, 20 and 4. And then I just joined the Women's Veterans of America.
Okay.
I enjoy helping the veterans. I'm glad that I volunteered here before for a couple years. I volunteered here before
Oh, okay.
for a couple years, and then I just came back here to volunteer again.
What would you declare to be your major career? Still was in medicine after the war.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right.
But which particular field was the most prominent? Was it the proctology? Was it? Which one did you stay in the longest? What was
it was the OBGYN, civil service,
right.
Yeah.
How many years was
I
that?
love that. It was about 3 years I was in that.
Okay. And the rest of the time?
Raise the kids.
Okay. So you were a homemaker
Right,
strictly at one time?
right.
Okay.
I had a foster license in California, took in foster kids.
Really?
Well, you had to have a foster license to babysit in California.
Oh.
And they had to come out and inspect and make sure you had enough bedrooms and stuff like that. So I did have a business going there where I had kids, till they went to school or something. But I had a lot of kids. Not a lot of kids at one time, but a lot of kids through the years when I was in California. That's what I did, earn extra money.
Gotcha. Okay.
I enjoyed that. I had a couple special education, learning disabled kids.
Yeah.
They were a trip. You had to watch if you had the iron anywhere near it wasn't still on.
I guess they required supervision all the time.
Oh yeah.
Overall.
But you know what?
What?
That's what was great about the military. Maybe I was 2 miles from the military swimming pool, so I got to take the kids to the swimming pool.
Right.
and they could let out all their steam.
Okay.
And by the time we came back, the chlorine bothered their eyes so bad they
You
think.
went to sleep, you go to sleep.
Yeah. But that was a great help, is that military swimming pool.
Right. Good. Okay, did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Listen, I'm very patriotic,
Okay.
and I would die for my country. But I hate war. I hate war. And I'm sorry, but I hated President Bush. and I'm sorry for Obama and the problems he's having. I wish we just... I hate war. I wish we had more diplomacy, but sometimes you can't fight against ruthless people.
Okay. If in a veterans organization, which you are, what kinds of activities does your post or association have?
Well, I don't know if you've heard of the Golden Age Games.
Mm-mm.
Well, the girls that I know through my organizations introduced me what's called the Golden Age Games. And it's for veterans 55 years and older who are getting their care at the VA hospital. And it's an Olympic event. There's different sports that you can sign up for. And last year, I went to Des Moines, Iowa with 4 other girls and 1 guy. And competed. I won 2 gold medals. So we all won medals. We did great. And this year we're going to Hawaii.
Oh.
So I help with donations to be able to go. We put together kits for the women veterans. I take women veterans to some of the meetings, other organizations I belong to. Anytime they need help, I'm there. You know, all they got to do is ask. But big supporter of vets.
Good. Do you attend reunions?
No,
Okay.
don't know if they have any. I know ships are big in that and submarines and stuff, but I always look in my little Legionnaire thing to see if there's a reunion for boot camp.
Okay.
But like when you went to Corps School, you know, maybe 1 or 2 of you from your class would get stationed with you, and I don't think anybody put in for Camp Pendleton but me.
So no reunions, and you were waiting for boot camp reunion, okay. How did your service and experiences affect your life?
Well, I think my husband and I were good disciplinarians for kids. I never had screaming kids or loss of temper. All I would have to say is no. I don't know if that means anything, but it was a tone of voice that my kids knew right from wrong. That doesn't mean they didn't get into mischief, but if I knew it, they were in trouble. I don't know. I'm more organized, I think. I still fold my clothes in 3s. It's a carryover.
Okay.
Color coordinated, neat. I was pretty much that, though.
Organized, yeah.
Yeah. That's strict parents.
Okay.
Everything in it. What is it? Everything in its place.
for
Everything for
everything.
place and everything in its place.
Right.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Okay. Okay, well, is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
I don't know. I wish I could have stayed in. I would have liked to contribute more. I would have loved to have gone to school
For what?
for nursing. I would have loved to have been an RN. Can I tell you a little story?
Sure.
my son, my oldest son, was in a bad motorcycle accident. And when he was in the hospital, he came out and he says, you know, I'd really like to be a nurse. He says, when I go into the Navy, he was scheduled to go to boot camp. Well, he hadn't taken his entrance exam yet. He said, I'd like to go to course school like you did. And I said, well, that's great, you know, because he had a good personality for it.
Right.
So anyway, he got such high scores, they talked him into nuclear school. Nuclear. Get out of there,
You said
Bush.
it.
I gotta make sure I say it right. I get so mad.
It's so funny.
Anyway, he did, and he hated every second of it, and he dropped out. They said, either get out or buckle down, and he said, let me out of here. And he remarried. He's been married 10 years now. When he remarried, his wife was going to LPN school. And he says, well, I'm going to do that. They're both RNs now.
Right.
And he works for hospice. They moved to Atlanta, and he works for hospice, and she works at home doing quality care for hospice.
Oh.
So it's funny how tables turn.
Right.
I said, when he was growing up, I called him the absent-minded professor, and he said that's what he eventually wants to do, is to teach. So, well, my kids turned out good, thank you.
Well, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just want to thank you very much for sharing your history and your recollections. And
My pleasure, I think. Oh, I get a copy of this, right?
you
I
certainly
can
do.
splice out what
You
I
get a
don't.
copy, the library gets a copy, and we get to keep one.
Just for
Also.
good times.
Yeah.